Welcome, 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 everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. I'm your producer and host of the show, Dr. Lino Martinez. This is your motivational podcast of people's incredible journeys. Oh, yeah, let's do this. Welcome back, everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. Today, I'm super duper excited to introduce Susan Cavka. She's a clinical hypnotherapist and prior private investigator. This is the first time I've had a hypnotherapist on my podcast, and very nice to meet you. Welcome to A Little Less Fear podcast, Susan.
Thank you, Lena. So nice to be here. I'm excited.
This is incredible. Yeah, I mean, you know what's incredible about this is that I've always wanted to be hypnotized and even thought about becoming a hypnotherapist myself. And I mean, prior to talking to you and meeting you, I really, having a clinical psychological background, and that's what I'm educated in, have my doctorate in clinical psychology. We briefly kind of like brush over some hypnosis. I took a couple hypnosis classes. A lot of it was guided imagery, but not really going deep as you and I have talked before even recording this podcast. So I'm really excited to go here. But before we go here, I'm really curious, and I'm sure our listeners are curious to find out what brought you to become a clinical hypnotherapist. Tell us about your journey.
Yes, I had no idea. Just like any good thing, it catches you off guard. We're always searching for something, but that's the problem.
Right.
We're trying to control and plan, and that's not what we're supposed to do here. We're supposed to flow, and that's how I found it. When I was just to go back, I was just born and raised in East Chicago, Indiana. And I always thought I'm going to be a doctor, a brain surgeon, and I can't wait to just do that kind of work. And then I thought, okay, you know what, FBI, as I'm a little girl, FBI seems interesting, working on the criminal's mind and how the mind works. So I was always fascinated with the brain and the mind and how it works. And I thought I was going to be Clarice Starling on Silence of the Lambs. And I just going to school and doing the things I came out to California sometime in 8th grade, came back on my own in the middle of high school. But basically, I was on my own. In the middle of my high school year, I decided, turning 18 in December, I love you, family, but you showed me California. I don't have to shovel snow. I am out of here. And I moved to California on my own and finished high school. And I worked so many different jobs. But one of them, I saw that you could answer phones at a private investigation company. So I put on my J.C. Penney's suit in 1992 and headed down to Wilshire Boulevard and went to interview. And they said, hey, come in the back. Will you dig in trash and go through microfilm and do this and this? I'm like, I'm 18, living on my friend's floor, paying rent. Oh, yes, of course I will.
Yeah.
Sign me up. And they trained me. And I did that for just about almost 30 years. And it was fascinating. There were so many things I learned and developed skills.
I'm sorry, Susan. So you became, after obviously you were cleaning, and that's kind of how you started. And then after cleaning and that's how you got started, you then became interested in becoming a private investigator.
I'm sorry, what'd you say I did?
You became a private investigator after that.
Yeah. So when I moved out here and I graduated high school in 1991, and I became a private investigator in 1992. Okay. And I started doing that right off the bat. And I started doing like big clients, like, big cases, in the media. And I was just this girl from Indiana, and I was just like, okay, let's do it. It's just, your inner self comes out when you have to do that. That's why people say, I loved my 20s. I was so this, and then it got sort of funky. I'm like, no, you were actually allowing yourself to be free because you felt like in your life, there's things that held you back, but there was so much freedom there. And so that was the beauty about it. And I had no idea that course of almost 3 decades, I was trying to retire from that. And I just saw this ad for hypnosis on YouTube. And it was more in-depth hypnosis where it's getting to the root cause, and it was a beautiful form. And I'm like, this is speaking to me. There's something so internal that is speaking to me, and I have to, look into this. So the PI in me checked to see, is this legit? Let me watch some of the videos of this actual process and see, did these people get pregnant? Did they get rid of their things? And they did. And I was like, okay, I didn't even understand that there was a part of this brain that we were lacking and not understanding. And I thought it was woo-woo or weird. I had no clue. I was just uneducated, and I didn't know what I didn't know. That's my favorite. You don't know
Yes,
what you don't know.
exactly.
My husband, 21 years, said to me, maybe over a decade ago, would you ever try hypnotherapy? And I said, no. And he's like, why not? You're very open. You feel like, you always say, you'll try anything. And I just said, I feel like I'm confident, positive. I have a beautiful, amazing life and family.
Sure.
Of course, there's stress and anxiety, and I'm type A and all these other things and OCD, but it doesn't matter. I was comparing myself to worst case scenario. I was comparing myself to the people that didn't have family, so there's so much comparison to put myself in a category and label, which was so hurtful. And I had no idea what a disaster of a life I was living, but it looked so beautiful
Right.
because I didn't know what I didn't know. There was no Pandora's box. Everything that I experienced in all the thousands of days in this body was already operating as if. So there's nothing new to unfold or find
Right.
out. And people are scared because they think there's something they're going to find out.
Sure.
You're operating every day as if all of it's happening, because that little kid in you, we're always like, oh, I remember this happened, this happened. But you don't remember the thousands of days, and you don't remember, that first year of your life. You were forming beliefs,
Hmm.
core beliefs
Right.
that you still have as an adult.
Right.
There's no midlife crisis. That little kid, those core beliefs at birth, at the early childhood, are so vital to who we are now and the destruction
Susan,
of all the hate.
Susan, thank you for that. Before we go into the basis of things that are kind of role playing in our mind of who we are, these stories that are playing, I'd like to know a little bit more about you. As far as you said something that really rung true to me right now for myself as well. You said that before you were putting yourself in a category, and this is before you knew hypnotherapy. And when you were put into this category, when did you actually realize that you had put yourself in a category?
Oh, it's just, I realized it a few years ago, that we always know the labels of, where I'm this, I'm
Yes,
that,
right.
OCD. Those things are so, I thought that was just how we operated, and we just do our best to get out of it. And my OCD is just part of my childhood and something I have, and it's okay, or all these different things like ADHD, everything.
Right, right,
But
right.
those things, all it is childhood, unresolved childhood confusion and
Yes,
trauma. That's
yes,
all it is. There's nothing else. You were born so healthy, so pure. If you look at the statistics, we're
yeah.
born, we'll say genetic because we don't know. We
Right,
love
right, right.
using the word science and genetic. And I love science. A good portion of my session is science, but there's another part that's immeasurable, that you cannot measure. And that
Sure.
is the problem. We're trying to measure everything, wearing our watches, turning it into these robots of just, this is what I'm supposed to do. The left brain, the right brain, stop. We are not knowing ourselves. So we're constantly trying to find who we are by looking to the horoscope, looking to the stars, looking at labels, looking at, everything and everyone but ourselves. And we
Yes.
look at ourselves, we don't understand. And I get it. I was there. I did all that to me.
Susan, did you also go through hypnotherapy yourself before becoming a hypnotherapist?
That's the thing. I know a lot of hypnotherapists out there, and I had 13 sessions given to me, and
Okay.
they were wonderful. They were absolutely wonderful. But were they to the core? Were they deep enough? Were they detailed and like changing in a way of like awakening? No.
Mhm.
Um, the compilation of them and the work I've done on my own self hypnosis with those and other things throughout the course, and the thousands of scenes I've seen in my clients under
Mhm.
hypnosis has gotten me to a place where I feel so at home, where we're always growing and becoming. But now that I'm in that home of understanding the
Mhm.
purpose and seeing myself and understanding all that facade and seeing my multidimensional self, seeing my
Yes.
unlimited powerful self that could do anything. We could move things. We can do so much with our powers, but we're using our outer senses, the five, to limit us, to hurt us, because we don't know what we don't know. The childhood, the big effect the childhood has on us is
Mm,
everything. It's the
yes.
reason we're in this upside down program in this world. And
Hmm.
if we fix the childhood in a deeper, more powerful way, that's the key. But the thing is hypnosis has been around for a long time, and it's a beautiful form,
Yes.
because the fact is, like, your conscious mind that we're talking to on right now, that's scientifically in charge of 1 to 5% of you. So we're working in a very ineffective state of mind, doing all this hard work, like, what should I do on this, or why am I here, or where are my keys? Everything we're asking ourselves, or what should I do in this relationship, or how do I get out of this feeling? Everything is in a conscious mind. So all those books and podcasts and everything we do, is so much hard work. And if we use it for a better why, and not use it to fix us, heal us, and think it's part of the program,
Right.
we'll understand ourselves. We'll get less distracted and see that everything we will ever need is already inside of us. That's why when we listen to something, it sounds so good and so at home, because our inner self knows it and feels it. But we
Yes.
want to hear guided meditation. We want to be guided. We want to be coached. We don't
Rather
need
than
that.
listening to our own voice. Correct.
Yes. But the thing
Susan,
is so people, I'm
Susan,
sorry.
1 second. Yeah. So you said something incredible right now. Um, use it. So when you were talking about the people want to fix themselves, listening to podcasts, going to meditations, doing a bunch of other stuff outside of ourselves, and you said that use they should be, or not should be, but use it for a better why. What is a better why in that case?
So I know a lot of people, I will say, I don't mean to offend anyone in their career, in anything they do, but I have to sort of, it wasn't easy, but it's worth it.
Right.
And our words are everything, and we have to be very careful, because they form. It's like our brain and our mind are different, and that
Yes.
brain is listening to every word we say. So I
Yes,
understand when
our
people say,
thoughts
"Well,
they're creating blueprints. We're creating our
yeah."
own. Yes,
So
absolutely.
when we go to a therapist and we journal or we talk about our problems, to me that is picking at the scab. You're never going to heal. You're never going to have a new chapter, a new beginning. People will be talking about that story like just beating a horse. People are tired of hearing their story. I know so many people out there that are tired of hearing themselves talk about their child, their story, because they're not doing it a way where it serves them. They're trying to heal and trying to help others. I see it. I get it. It's beautiful. Our
Yes.
unity and our love is infectious, but we're also doing it with maybe 80% showing up in our truth and in our
Yes.
purpose, because we have beliefs that are keeping us stuck from really being the success. Money is not success. Your resume, your education, that's not a success. Success is solely that relationship you have with yourself. And to know thyself, that's it. If you know
Mhm.
yourself, you know your truth, you love yourself, you accept yourself just the way you are, you'll put yourself in the place where you get what you need. You don't need a vision board. That's just another distraction. You're using your
Yes.
senses very
Okay.
elementary.
Hmm.
Elementary senses are being used because we're stuck in the elementary mind, because we haven't upgraded. We got rid of the boob tube and now we got flat screens, but we're still stuck in the old psyche and the old hard work of conscious work instead of subconscious work. So hypnosis is beautiful because it goes to the subconscious. But the problem there is you could do a brain surgery for hours and hours on end and keep someone sedated only with their mind powers under hypnosis,
Hmm.
and think that drilling they're hearing is some beautiful thing happening down the street, not in their body.
Right.
So the power we have is so beautiful, but we're just playing small with it. We're going in to get on an airplane, to fix the little anxiety. All the hypnosis we do is for one issue here, one issue there. We're not just a couple issues. We started this programming when we came into this world with so much fear, so much seeking validation, approval, so much just guilt, hate, anger, confusion, just, worry is one of the big things that drive that fear. And it's just all interrelated in this big stew that we live, and we don't upgrade it. We just think this is part of the programming. So in 1980s, someone wrote a book and coined boundaries. And I tell my clients, you do not need boundaries. You are not a child, no baby gates, no rules, no boundaries. The only rules I keep are ones that are right to me and just my beliefs, and ones that will cost me a parking ticket or a speeding ticket. Other than that, like, I don't need boundaries. I know who I am and what I need and what I want, and it flows and goes and it works out accordingly because I trust and know myself. But people that they
This
came up
this
with
is
that
really
coin
interesting, Susan, what you're saying right now. This is really fascinating. So what I'm understanding, what I hear right now about boundaries is that if you know thyself, you trust thyself and you have faith in thyself, and therefore don't need to even think about boundaries, because it's those are kind of like putting limitations. And if you really know yourself, these walls don't need to be put up because you already
balance.
know where your journey is headed, and you're already at peace with yourself. And if you're at peace with
Yeah,
yourself, then no need to create or even bring up the vocabulary of putting boundaries out there, because that's setting limitations and boxing yourself in.
you're so smart. That's why I love talking to you. Absolutely, absolutely, because everything we're doing, my OCD, I don't have OCD that I thought I had like Jack Nicholson in the movie As Good as It Gets. No, I just learned that behavior. It's all learned behavior from childhood. And I believed, that was normal. So I went around the program and would check the switches and check to make sure everything was okay. All it was I couldn't figure out the inside. At least I can control the outside. That's all it is. And it's just
Yes.
a child confused. That's it. You don't have all these labels and limitations and these things. You're doing that to yourself. You don't need boundaries. You don't need a toolbox. Throw that toolbox away. You are the tool. You're the main ingredient. So all these things that we've been taught, it's like I'm going to like literally like this. We're flipping the script. It's
Yes.
all lies and distortions. Our multidimensional, powerful soul and self in this human body that we create, we give ourselves all the illnesses, all the things, and we didn't mean to. There was no manual how to be a parent or child. We did the
Or a
best we
human.
could off the. Yes. And well, we're actually more than human. We got to give ourselves more credit that because we're a
Yes.
powerful soul, multidimensional with so many selves inside there living in this human body. And it's like a suit of flesh. and we should honor it, but we don't. We do things bad to it and then wonder why we're hurting.
Yes.
But we don't get to the core of why are we hurting ourselves. Someone will say, well, I have this dementia or I have this or they have that. But okay, it's caused by some protein in the brain, but no one knows. No one could say, but what causes that? There's no, most things will say stress or unknown. Most
Right.
things
Or
they
a
don't have
genetic
a reason.
disease.
And they
Right.
and they say may be genetic, we're not sure, and they don't have it for sure. There's so many what ifs because the unknown is immeasurable. It's our powerful self that we've been denying. That's why we have war, hate crimes, school shootings, all of this disease. Everything that's happening is because the lack of inner childhood programming to fix and go back to the truth to serve ourselves. You got these people in control in the office, in government, and all over the world that are just hurt little kids. And they
Yes.
have a platform and they're not
Right.
using it wisely.
Right.
I want no hate, no division. They don't know what they don't know. I had a life where I wasn't a good person. I could have been a bad dictator. So I understand. I'm not here to accept it, but I'm here to understand with compassion and love. They don't know what they don't know. But if we hate and cause division and put all our energy into what's happening in all these other places, stop, because your energy, all that tank that you had, you could have been serving yourself and making change. Instead, you drained it. Unless you're going out there and making change and going to be a part of it, don't
Yes.
sit there and you're in just complaining and just sitting there talking about the people that are hurting you because you're not
Right.
a victim. No one's hurting you.
True.
Nothing's happening to you. It's happening for
For
you.
you. Yes.
It's for you. My favorite thing is I deconstructed this quote once by this famous person. They said that there are good days and bad days, and this is how we handle those. And the good days, you know how to handle them, but the bad days, this is what we do. And I said, bullshit. That is not true. The days that you might want to put in that category of not so good or hard or horrific, whatever is bad, everything happens for a reason. And if you fail to see the gift of what happened in that, whatever you want to call trauma or pain or confusion, then you're just going to have to relive it and wait another time. That's why we have all these things happening in the world. We didn't learn from the Holocaust. We did, so we got another disaster. We didn't learn from the war, so we got another war. We're not learning or upgrading or updating, and we're mass psyche masterpieces. We're all psychic. You're a wonderful psychic. You use it. Your channel is beautiful, and I love feeling your energy. I love it. Feels so. It's like we're like these TV screens, and we're all psychic and psychically connected, but our channels and our screens are fuzzy and stuff. And when we can see clearer, that's everything. But a lot of people will say, oh, I'm spiritual. I've done this. I've done that. I do all these things. I've gone to every retreat. I've tried everything under the sun. You have not gone in depth to see that little kid in that mini series of your life to say, oh my God, I didn't even know those were beliefs. I didn't even know that was something I can get rid of or that I was getting in my way. And I formed that at 2, at 5, at birth. A traumatic birth will really hold you back in life and be one of the most difficult things I've ever seen out of clients. I've seen everything.
Let's talk about that, Susan. So thanks so much. This is incredible. This is so much full of energy, and I feel like we can go on so many different avenues. Because of this, I would love to invite you back with going a little deeper with a specific topic. But something you said right now that's really fascinating as well is that basically what you have realized and what you have recognized in the multitude of patients that you've hypnotized is that most of our psychological, mental pains that we have are all derived from childhood, including childbirth, correct?
It's scientific evidence, I think, says 6 months through the womb, we could hear and feel. And I think my knowing is way before that. We come into this world. We'll talk about the religion and all the other things on other shows, want to keep it to this, but like basically, we come into this world and we choose our life. We come through our parents, not from them, but through them, and knowing that we have a purpose. And if we don't find that purpose, if we don't see who we are, we get lost. Yes. So, the big thing that we need to understand and see is our truth and that little kid. So everything. So your birth is think about it. A baby and a dog, just for example, they're not thinking about tonight's dinner or what's happening tomorrow or this weekend. They're only in the moment, that beautiful gift of the present moment. Yeah. And when you take a baby that's just sitting there getting fed, everything's, nothing, they don't have to do anything. They don't diaper changing, no inconveniencing. It's just beautiful, warm, and nice. But they're feeling things. They feel and hear. That's why you have calmer babies. And that's why my baby was born with colic, because I got paralyzed, during my pregnancy from stress. Lots to talk about. But basically, so the baby feels and hears. Think about that feeling. Everything's going well. And all of a sudden, there's a feeling of the mother feeling a stress or anxiety or a worry. That's either maybe just like instant or ongoing. What does that do to the baby? I've had clients go to the womb. It's not as often, but they've gone to the womb where they're say, I feel it's dark. I feel like I don't want to come out. I'm scared. No one wants me. And they were a product of abuse and they experienced a lot of things already because that life was already living. They felt and heard, that's why people are seeing and do this. We have no idea what power that soul coming into us can teach us and how we can really learn from them.
Speaking of what you just said right now, when that soul comes in, and this obviously you're the person to ask this question. So I've heard before, and I've even read that, and it's very conflicting to me because obviously I don't know. But when does the soul come into the body? Does it come in at conception, or does it come in when the baby is born, or sometime when they're in the womb?
See, I believe it's in that conception, but I don't know this. There's a lot I know and feel. I just know when I was raised, Catholic, and, for more than 7 years, I went to Catholic school for 7 years, and everything was just, those are my beliefs. That was my programming. Wherever you're born, that's it. It's right. It's like saying the sky's not up and the water's not wet. That was my programming. And when I realized, I want to see for myself, because that doesn't sound legit. That sounds a little creepy. That sounds wrong. I don't really go with that. But let me see what this is. I had no idea what I didn't know. That will be a whole nother show. It's going to be a lot. But at the same time, we don't need body. Our consciousness, there's no beginning and ending like a dream. We don't end. Our consciousness, we could be just in just the conscious energy of life. We're energy, and we decide to choose a body, a life. And we choose a life because we need to learn something. We need to get things right. And there's a lot of things in our other lives that maybe we didn't learn or get right. And so we choose a life. And so sometimes you see, why would this person choose this cushioned, rich life versus this one choosing this abusive life? Well, maybe that person failed to learn lessons, and now they got to play catch up and take something on they don't want to. But they're already a powerful soul that knows this is a part of the game, that death is not. That's just human stuff. That's child's play. But I'm a powerful soul that needs to get this right. And that's why some people have a hard time with death, with when they have dementia and other things, because they don't want to go over to that other side. They don't want to go into that place of a reckoning and understanding that the religion sort of held you back in a way to make you believe certain things that hurt you about your own power. So now when you go and lose your body, you're going to have to come to terms with what you did and didn't do in this life that you chose to live, to learn it and get it right. So it's you. I feel like it's right away. It's instantly. And so, but when you are born, all of a sudden you have senses. You can feel, hear, smell, taste, all these senses, and we don't know how to use them. And
the senses that a fetus has automatically are the senses automatically connected to consciousness, or are the senses just recording physically for the body for survival, or is that they're already sending messages and communicating through your your subconscious?
I guess I look at it differently. I know there's a lot of books out there that make a lot of things confusing and a lot of things.
So maybe I am confused. Yeah, maybe you can help me understand how you understand it.
Because it's just very, very basic to, like, oh, here's a good one. The other day you asked me something and I wanted to clarify. You said, like, why do I see those angel signs, or why do I see these things? And so why there must be a part of me, because you have these 5 limiting senses that we messed up, and I teach my clients, and I'll be talking about those, globally. But at the same time, the inner senses are so important. We have a multitude of unlimited powers and senses inside. Like one of them that we're sort of aware is intuition. And we just say our gut feeling or this or that. We don't really give it the platform to really grow it. And then when we listen to guided meditation, we're not getting our voice. We're not giving ourselves any credit. We're always shaming and blaming and thinking everyone knows better than us. And that's such a disservice.
Wow.
And so it's just, I was hearing all these women getting dressed yesterday at this beautiful vintage market, and every woman, I don't want a picture. I don't look, oh, my younger, oh no. And I'm like, you guys are the biggest bully to that little kid inside you. I wonder why, they want someone to validate their feelings or look for another person to make them feel good, or distract or drink or do things, because we've been beating ourselves up that, when I do say the truth or talk about something, people get butthurt. That, the truth hurts because we've been shaming ourselves since, we were born, we weren't a good kid, So I know I go off on all the things. There's so much that
because you're passionate about it, and there's just so much that goes on with hypnosis and so much that you've learned and grown from this. I mean, I can understand wanting to go a million miles, a million hours in a million different directions. I totally get it. But something else you just said right now that was incredible, that we are limiting ourselves to 5 senses, and people don't recognize that our intuition is a sense. It's probably one of the most.
So that's the thing. Yes. So the intuition. And so we don't have, like, when we see the word self, it's not self, it's selves, it's plural. ourselves. There's a higher self, but there are many lives we live, many selves in there. They're like higher self and colleagues. And we need to join forces, and you'll learn about those, but you can't go learning about past lives and who cares what you did in those lives. You can feel like, oh, I love, the Chinese Ming Dynasty stuff. Oh, maybe that was a life. Maybe, but that doesn't serve you. Get to know this life and the truth of who you are. And those things will unfold naturally, and happen beautifully in the gift that you unwrap of you. But first, you got to clean house of all the distortion and lies that you're believing as a little kid from all the imprints of all the war, destructions, and famines and pain that we've experienced through generations that we're still holding on to.
Yeah,
And that's why we
generational
live in
trauma.
so much. Yeah, so it's not labels, it's not disease, it's our old ways staying the same.
Our old programming that we're just replaying over and over. So what are the goals with hypnosis, Susan? What are the goals with hypnosis?
My thing is, I hope my goals is more people do hypnosis, but more importantly, deeper. You have to, and you can't help others till you help yourself. And so I'm always going to be, learning and growing and becoming. I will always be a teacher, and I'll always be a student. And that's why when you said how many days a week do you work? I work 7, but I love it. I don't look at it as work. I love what I do. It's my life. I mean, I didn't know what I didn't know. I feel like I found this miracle, this missing link about, our childhood. My clients are under hypnosis for average of 4 hours, just that part alone. And the things they experience and see that held them back is just the opening. And from there, the beauty of changing that programming and then opening those doors once they're in the home to say, oh, I question this belief. Oh, that wasn't even true either. That was when I was little. I see you. And then doing self-hypnosis. All my clients, I have them first thing in the morning. I always say morning, noon, and night, but first in the morning is the most vital. If you could throw one in the afternoon, great. And one at night to wrap it up is beautiful. But that's going to interconnect you to talk to the source. Stop talking to the 1 to 5%. It's cruel. It's hard work. It's BS. Talk to the source, but do it properly. Don't do it by listening to this book, this guy, that guy. And when I first started going, I call it inward. I don't know why. Some people say meditation, hypnosis. I just call it inward. And it's just a deep hypnosis. And all it is relaxation of your nervous system. That's what hypnosis is. People think it's like mind control or weird stuff. It's literally a relaxation of your nervous system. It's when you're driving a car and you zone out and you're like, oh, I don't even remember driving here. That's hypnosis. You were under hypnosis, driving a big vehicle perfectly fine. And you remember everything. And it's a beautiful experience, but you can't go there for an hour. You can't go there for an hour and a half. You got to really see that mini series. If you saw a documentary or a mini series or something that only showed you, a part of it, you wouldn't learn a lot. There would be like a missing link, and it would be still that hard work. You'd feel like, oh, I feel better, and that's wonderful, and I like that, and it helped. But we're not a one-hit wonder. Tiger Woods did hypnosis at the age of 12 for the golf game. That's brilliant. But imagine if he would have done it to show that I'm more than just a golf game. There's so much more to me. I'm a little boy that wants to be creative and do this and this. You could still have the golf game, but you need to feel that inner connection and confidence. And no one raised us that way. No one gave us the inner connection and confidence because no one had it. And to be really connected to the inner selves and draw upon that and to help others and teach a kid at childhood before they walk to interconnect would be, but instead we were like, open the door, be nice to Timmy, say thank you to your uncle, even if he's a pedophile, whatever is going on, you just have to go along with the show and make everything look good on the outside and to respect your parents. And that's a belief. So I have clients that will go, or friends I will go, I can't talk. My family, my childhood was wonderful. And I'm like, okay, you were born in a utopia underground somewhere in a magical fairyland because you've been surrounded by all these lies of, fear and all this nonsense of who you truly are. You're not living in any of that truth or purpose. We're running around like chickens with their head cut off. So tell me how. And they have the belief, I see it in them all the time. They have the belief that my childhood was so good. I was hard on my parents. I'm so grateful. I can never talk about them. You know, they're suffering right now, and I owe everything to them. And they're such beautiful people. And yes, they are. But that the truth is the truth. And you and me sitting here, this is our conscious self. 1 to 5%. We could do very little. The real one driving the show, driving Miss
Yeah,
Daisy,
it's a
is
subconscious.
literally the subconscious, a classroom full of kids,
So
babies and kids.
Susan, how do you understand the subconscious?
We have so many levels. When my clients under hypnosis, a lot of them are like, I don't know if I can get put under. I said, if you want it and you're in, and I agree that you're at a phase where it could help you, because I'm very picky doing that, because people will choose it for a wrong why, and their why will be to get a relationship or fix a kid or do something to control, or for the wrong reason. It's not. I will be very careful to interview them to make sure they're in the right frame of mind and they're not in a narcissistic delusional state of like, I'm just, curious or something else. Because the subconscious mind, there's so many dimensions. It's just a basic like inner mind label I use, where there's so many depths that, like when you fall asleep in a dream state, when you're falling asleep, you feel all these weird things and memories and all this stuff.
Right.
And your dream is just your dreams. We'll talk about that. That's a whole nother show. Oh, that's a beautiful state that's teaching you. But the thing is the subconscious, when you can get into that place and let your guard down, you can get more relaxed. You get to see your true inner self without falling asleep, because you got to stay awake. It's just that nervous system that's always running, keeping you safe, keeping you thinking there's something happening, and using these five senses wrongly. To shut those down, and you're in full control, but you're just seeing the truth, and you're relaxed, and you're just flowing. And now you're seeing everything, some things you knew and some things you didn't know, but it's all you, and you're operating as if, but you're seeing it in a state of mind that is so like, oh my God, I can relax. I see you. You're putting out the fire on that little kid of confusion. And it's not just like trying to ignore them or give them a hug or do some, affirmations or all the stuff out there. I try not to let it bother me, but it's a lot of snake oil and distractions. So
Yeah.
it does bother me because of people running and searching for that. And they're all dialed in several days a week to, I got this, I got this, I got this. This is keeping me at bay. And then God forbid another COVID or something else happens.
Sure.
And then they're, somewhere else. You got to be okay with being in solitary confinement and feeling alive. And it doesn't matter what is happening around you. You are so connected and trusting just the art of being and feeling alive.
But are
and
people able to get into that state of being okay in solitary confinement without hypnosis? Is that possible?
I don't think my husband and I, we debate this a lot, and because we read and do things and research a lot. And so I think we're too far gone to do self-hypnosis on ourselves alone, or go down different paths of like, okay, I can do this inner work. I'll do this and this and this. Yes, it's going to help. Yes, it's going to get you from here to here. Just like one of those books we read where it's like, oh my God, it changed my life. But then it's like, did it? Then why are you here? It's like, we say these things because it gave us another step above that ladder where we feel more powerful, more great. And it spoke to our inner self and outer self, but we're denying our voice still. We're denying our power, denying the truth. And so to me, your house is so full of beliefs that you can never, like, you can cut your own hair and massage your own self, but you can't sit there and tell yourself that belief is wrong, because that's like me saying, you're not wearing glasses, Lino. That's not true, but that's what a belief is. So unless you have someone, and I don't know anyone that does hypnosis in depth. That's my goal. I have lots of goals. I have lots of things. I'm just looking for that person to, show up and agent me and give me these positions so I can spread this word, so people can go and take that hypnosis, heal themselves, the ones that are doing hypnosis already, like that are in that line of work. Do more to heal yourself instead of chasing the clients, and then go deeper. Because I had a client the other day saying, well, I know, you were trained in the 90-minute sessions. And I said, yes, but You can't do that, because as soon as I got comfortable talking about me finding my sister dead when I was a little girl and what it did to me, by the time I start seeing the movie of my life and understanding and connecting
The
to that
90
inner
minutes
self,
are
and
up. Yeah. And that's not
it,
enough
yeah,
time.
well, it was like it was just. But then if you do a bunch of little ones, it's like it doesn't really get that flow of when you complete a movie,
Sure,
and
sure.
that movie is very important because you're the leading character and you get to write it, direct it, edit it. Costume is my favorite,
Yeah.
and location, and we're here to play big and shine at any cost, but we got to understand why we're getting so hurt on people's things is because there's a little kid inside of us that's so hurt and feels left behind, angry, pushed, controlled, ignored, just wronged. Because you'll say, oh, no one meant to do it. Like my mom, she was an electrician in the steel mills of Chicago since she was like 19 years old, and just worked her butt off. So she was 7 days a week working. I didn't see her much. And that little girl inside of me, oh, under hypnosis, she was like, where are you? I love you. How could you leave me with my grandparents when they're fighting? And I need more. And I'm scared and I'm confused. Why do you choose him? And what's wrong with me? And all this stuff, that classroom full of little Susans I ignored was in there. And
Wow, that's
quietly
great.
with me just going, I got affirmations, manifestations, I'm dialed in. I went to a retreat. No, you don't need to retreat. The word retreat means to run away. You need to go inward, but do it in a way where you rewrite things, it serves you, you see the truth, and you reprogram that. But we
Right.
can't do it alone. And the things out there, we need to intensify. We need to take hypnosis. And my concern is when something's found out, we sort of abuse it, right? We want to like milk that cow so much where we find all these things like life coach. Now it's
Right.
like 1 out of 3 people are life coaches now, where it's
Right.
like we can't do that in the world where we see where their money could be made and we chase it because it feels good. And I know it feels good. A lot of people that want to help others, they want to help themselves. We
Sure.
are all in this together, but we have to know that we are not a one-hit wonder. What I do for my living is not my hobby. Like we have more to us. Your calling doesn't need to make money. It could be a hobby or vice versa. There's
Sure.
so much to us, but we want to label it and put it black and white, right and wrong. And it's not that way. We need to stop the division, the labels, the prescription drugs, the cause of what we're doing to ourselves. Yeah, I am going to have a docu-series out and a movie, and I just have so much bursting at the seams, as you can feel.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
I
just
can feel
because
it.
I've I've seen the things happen where, people are like, oh no, I got this. And then you're like, holy shit. Like, I
Yeah.
thought I knew. I'm like, I know, me too. Like I gave my kids anxiety, which led to eczema, which, I gave them the fear. I did the same programming, and I understand that. But I want to finish things because I know I do that and I don't want that belief to be true. But when you're saying like the angel numbers, you know why? Because that inner selves, those selves that you have
Well,
in you.
let's
So
rewind so that listeners understand what we're talking about. So, oftentimes people will talk about seeing coincidences or synchronicities or angel numbers. So, what is your understanding of these synchronicities and angel numbers?
or yeah, any kind of sign, and they'll say, "Oh, I saw a sign,"
Signs,
and we
correct.
hold on to those so true, but we want so much them to be real, like to give us this answer, like it's going to blow up into some storyline.
Mhm.
That's us, and so they're distracting us. But what the reason we turn and see those at the right time at 222, or we looked and saw that
Yeah.
as we were driving, the reason is ourselves, that one we're ignoring, the inner selves,
Mhm.
is aware of everything around us. It's aware of when you're going to die, how you're breathing, aware of everything you're going to do next year, tomorrow, everything.
Mhm.
So it already knows, like you could walk in a scary neighborhood. It's not about living in fear, it's about being smart. You could walk in a scary neighborhood and your intuition alone and that inner self will know if someone's behind you, even if you can't hear. Think about a blind person or deaf person. Their inner senses go more heightened because
Sure
they
do.
are more dependent on those.
Right,
And
right.
so think about, I tell my clients, they're like, I can't walk outside and do this at night or this neighbor. I'm like, that's not true. You're saying this and you believe what you become. We got to stop holding
Yes.
ourselves back. We're so elementary and small as scared kids because rightfully so, we haven't upgraded it in the deep, beautiful way where it needs that healing to go, oh my God, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's just, it's beautiful. It's, we don't know what we don't know, and everything we have is inside of us, but we need people to be able to heal themselves enough to know the truth and have that intuition so strongly come out in them where they're trusting themselves. So when you're seeing those numbers and you're seeing that your inner self is just like, you're on the right path, but like, come on, believe in me, and I'm going to show you to look that way. And you just think, oh, I look that way. The ego's like, I look that way. I saw it on the clock. I did that. The bird flew in my window. You know, the peacock came over here. No, you were going to be around all this, but your inner self wanted you to go, hey, you know, I see you're doing a little bad. You're not really going down the smooth road. You're taking the longer one. Here's a little sign. Maybe it'll help you. And in dreamland, in that other dual hybrid reality, I'll help you there too. But you might be too exhausted. It's up to you. We are responsible for our health, happiness, and healing, but we don't know what we don't know. And if someone told me this, I would have been like, what? You're crazy. And I get it. I
So
get it.
Susan,
Everything I learned wrong.
so if we don't know what we don't know, how do we get to, and this is just for your everyday person, someone that doesn't, let's say someone says they don't have time for therapy, they don't have time for hypnosis. What are some basic tools that someone could learn to know what they don't know? Something that can
Um,
actually just help them even a little bit at a time. If self-affirmations
basically,
are not the way to go and meditations, all this stuff, they're just bandages, what can we do for ourselves when we're in our alone time or before we go to bed or when we wake up in the morning and we're feeling that lustful joy feeling when we close our eyes and we do attempt to meditate and we're in that inner joy? What can we do when we're in that good place? What can help us believe that we can become our truest self, our higher self?
we need to start listening to ourselves and know that we're not just what we see in the mirror and this body, and to question our beliefs, to question your
Okay.
beliefs and everything you believe. Because why in this world are there so many religions, so many different beliefs out there? We're so similar, but yet again, in different cultures and places, we're so similar, but so completely like with different traditions and different beliefs. And it's completely just all learned behavior. And when we question the ones that are maybe things that are we're confused about, or that doesn't serve us, or even ones that like religion, like, oh, if I was born in this place, why do I believe this? It's not easy. That's the thing. It's not an easy task. I'm going to have a lot more videos helping. When my clients, I have them go inward. It's just like a self hypnosis. I teach them how to walk down that self hypnosis stairs and get in that relaxed state and really just start being the truth teller, seeing that little kid and saying, hey, I see why you feel that way,
Mhm,
but that's not true. You're not a 5-year-old kid anymore. That's
mhm,
not true. We don't have to feel that way. We could be whatever we want. And if we were around our parents right now and they said, you have to do this, would we listen? No. So why are we acting as if I got you? And you put that kid on your shoulders and you're like, I'm going to show you the truth. I'm going to become the best friend, the parent, the lover, the friend that you need. But I need to be the truth teller and I need to empower you because you are power and energy and you've been doing shame and blame. And if I don't give you truth, power, and love of what's inside of you, then you're gonna kill your body and mind, because the body is just listening to what we're saying and forming those. So when people say the body, we gotta give it love by understanding when we know this and understand our psyche and soul, then the body will just flow. Like a tree doesn't look for the sun and the water, it just knows of its existence, like our cells in our body. But we want to control. We want so much power and control in the right way, because in the wrong way, because that little kid was confused. When all my clients go through those scenes, they always say things, how do you feel? Whatever feeling they felt, whether it was birth or 1 or 5 or 10, how do you feel? And when they say that feeling, there's a lot of them that are the same. And that feeling forms the belief that they carry through on adulthood. But that feeling will be worthless, sad, sorry, worried that my parents are going to divorce, just so many horrible, awful, negative feelings, guilt, embarrassment, scared to speak up, all these horrible things that they feel. But one that always makes me just alert is the one that they all have universally: confused. That's where we remain. people they have it dialed in, so they feel like okay, I got my homework, I got my thing, I got my backpack, I'm dialed in, I got my yoga, I got my retreat, I'm dialed in, same thing. But the thing is at the end of the day, there is confusion in there that we're just brushing under the rug and not seeing, and that little kid is confused. And so when things aren't going smooth, we find ourselves in that place again, and we shouldn't be there. And there should be no midlife crisis or teenage wasteland. We create all of it. We are creating this heaven and hell, but we're creating more of a hell. And it's because we failed to learn. We failed to learn.
Again, I love what you said earlier about start listening to yourself and question all your beliefs. So that's really definitely a good place to start. And to love your inner child, as far as to give your inner child truth, power, and love. How do you give your inner child power?
Yeah, that's good. So the thing is, a lot of people talk about inner child work and this and that, like, oh, I've done it. Unless you've done deep, in-depth stuff, like where it's going to last and penetrate like a couple months of like, and beyond, of course, deepness, you're not going to understand that inner child. It's just going to be something like an affirmation word, because it's going to the conscious. So the power, we are energy. I could think of someone and they'll call me. We know how it works and how the psychic energy works.
Right.
And we all have it. We're just not dialed in. And so the power is within us, and we're dulling that shine, that power, that magnitude of electricity by not knowing our truth. That child inside there that's driving and running the show is believing everything that's wrong. Everything that's wrong. That's why we look nice and better. We're inventing more makeup and alcohol by the droves, but we're not really deeply feeling good unless we have something to numb us or to create. Create is good. We're all creative. But it's just, there's so much more to us. We're not a one-hit wonder. We're not in our power and understanding our purpose. So when you get that truth, you start to see yourself, the power, the energy. You start to feel, I can give a 10-hour session. I gave one the other day, 10 hours. Someone was in here and I had energy afterwards. And I went to the restroom maybe once or twice max. And I ate something for a 4-minute break. It wasn't even 5 minutes. And we went in. That was it. 10 straight hours. And I was able to go under hypnosis and see, investigate this woman's childhood, and then go into the hypnosis and go, oh my God, this. And how? I mean, yeah, of course I set myself up for success and all that stuff we talk about in the conscious mind, but that was my inner source coming alive, doing my purpose. We all have that, but we're tired. We don't want to get out of bed. No. My audio, I'll always tell my clients, you wake up feeling motivated, excited, energized, healthy to live your best life.
I love that.
And then I go on from there, because
and
there's
that's
so
because
much.
you're helping someone become their best self, and in doing so, it lights you up. But going back to the same question I asked earlier, I don't think I fully understood it. So when you go back to, if you're doing childhood work, or you're giving your inner child some love, and you're telling your inner child the truth, what the truths really are, and that we have inner selves versus one self. How then is that powerful for that child? For my child self, for example, if I go back to little Lino, how does that give little Lino power then?
Oh, yes. Okay. So now the conscious you is over here. And then there's it's like a rope, like one of those tug of ropes. And it's like you here and then all those younger selves. So when you go into that deep state and see it properly under the right guidance, in that deep, longer state, you start seeing those different ages. You see Lino at birth, you see Lino at 1, 2, 5, whatever age you see, and you'll see many scenes. And what you'll see is the truth. You'll see, oh, I'm doing this. I'm 2 years old, and I just feel this, and I this is how I'm feeling. And basically, you formed a belief about life, your position in the house, how you're seen, how if you can talk, or how you're going to get your attention, if you're going to be the rebel or the sick one, or the people pleaser. You
to
see
see how all
things.
the acts played out.
Yeah, and so you see the truth, and it's almost like watching the truth, because you don't remember the thousands of days of your life. You remember select childhood memories, right? And we grow them and we fade them and we say we don't remember, but trust me, it's all there, and you're operating as if, and you see them, and it's the most beautiful awakening, because in that little movie and dialogue, you start to see like, oh my God, I see that. It's like awakening of a connection of that, like the rope that he's been tugging, like, come on, we're going to be confident today. And the little kid's like, well, I don't feel that. I feel terrified and scared.
Sure.
So now they start dropping that rope and jumping into your arms, and you unite. And that's the beauty of that unity that we need here everywhere. But it has to start with you. We're all about others and paying it forward and gratitude and others. Stop it now. We really need to make it about us in a way that it serves us to see our power and truth, so we can come here 100%, not 80 or butthurt or angry or tired or
Sure.
doing our best, because no matter what, everyone has moments, and you shouldn't, and then we try to write off those moments because we don't know ourselves. We don't really
Yeah,
understand who
we
we are,
don't, right.
you know?
So
And
basically,
yeah.
awakening and connection is the powers, and truth and power come hand in hand. So when you know your
Well, truth and
truth,
love,
that's where the
really
power is
two.
at.
Yeah, well, you'll have power, but really the two ingredients I love to say is truth and love,
Truth
because
and
that's
love.
every truth
Mhm.
and love are my favorite. And I always listen to Beatles songs, and I'm like, God, they got it
Yeah.
so right. They got it so right. Like, oh, they did. Thank God for the Beatles. But like, the music's beautiful. Like, it talks about like
All you
it
need is
is love.
love.
Yes, and imagine a world, without all these things. Listen to that, imagine, and
Yeah.
all those things. It's like they wrote from source, and you could
Oh,
tell,
yeah.
like, those artists. I have so many artists I love. I love music,
Imagine
and
all
when
the
I hear the
people
writing,
living life in peace.
yeah,
Yes.
and you hear when they write and sing from source, and you come alive. That's why we love concerts. That's why we love the intimacy and that singing and that feeling, and we have that. But we got to stop putting people on pedestals before ourselves. And we did that. We learned that behavior as a kid.
Mhm.
Put others, put God, put everything, put your teachers, give them everything. But it was never us first. And that was the lack and the disservice to our truth. So if you have power and truth and a big purpose, but you're not learning and knowing yourself, we're just sitting here, and now we see the effect.
Yeah.
This is the symptom. The symptom is school
Yes. I
shootings.
love how you
And,
said that.
and
This is the symptom. Yes.
and I have the
That is
solution.
absolutely
And but
right.
we gotta stop saying problem solution. No, we're in our own way. And when we show that, there'll be no division. There'll be no labels and division. I don't know if I'll be alive then, but I'm starting it at any cost because I won't stop. And if anyone gets butthurt, I'm sorry. I'm not here to be your cup of tea or a friend. I'm here to tell my truth and give as much love and passion, so the kids that are thinking about hurting themselves or doing something, or an adult, that they could understand that you're so much more. You don't know. You've been operating. A lot of people say it's a matrix, it's a lie. I'm like, yes and no. I don't want you to think in a video game term or movie because we get a little robotic. I want you to think in a more bigger way, more imagination, think like, pure imagination, because that's what we have. Your pure imagination is your higher self, because we could look at the same thing in a room and you and I will have different thoughts about it. So our thoughts processes are so different. It's not just our beliefs and our childhood system, but that imagination, that's our inner self. So when we can
Yeah.
really connect, like, we shouldn't write because, oh, at 9 o'clock I said I'm going to write and I'm going to do work. No. What if you're forcing yourself? Your inner self's not ready because you haven't even woke up and got to know them and got to hang out. You're just sitting there worried about your ice bath and your stupid green shake, which are all great. I don't have the ice bath. That's people. We're searchers. We're looking for any new thing to. I bought the infrared sauna. Come on, I'm all about the body and health. I love it. But here, shoot, I don't need. We don't need to mess with our face. Age naturally. Just let it hang. Let it go. We need to accept aging. We need to not fear aging. We need to not fear things. We will get younger when this changes, when we know that our cells could rejuvenate and heal us and not give us disease and aging. I mean, we're miraculous, and we're playing like, oh, let me check my watch for my time. We're dependent on animals, watches, stars, everything. Different kinds of therapies and modalities endlessly. We're so dependent on a partner, a kid, to make us proud and make us happy and fill our bucket. We're doing so backwards. This things I did as a parent, I thought I was so good. I'm like, oh, you're doing your best. I did not know what I didn't know. So now I'm telling the kids, hey, all that stuff I did, I'm going to reverse it. Don't worry, I got you.
I love this.
It's my
So good.
responsibility because I did that. And there's
Yeah.
no blame and shame. We are living and learning. I lived in so much fear, guilt, and so much other stuff. But those fear and guilt were overwhelming. And it was like a driving force. And it's like all it did was give you hair loss and IBS. And
Yeah.
it's like, what do we do this for? Like,
Right.
because we can't get out of it. We know the secret is the words. We know this and that. But how we can't get out of it is because we're talking to the most ineffective state, expecting the most grand and beautiful results. And it's all on a
Yes.
vision board, and it's all fake and outside of us.
Susan, this has been incredible. Your energy is definitely magnetic, and I feel like we can do a 10-hour session ourselves. But thank you so
Yes.
much for being on Little Less Fear podcast. Do you have any final
Thank
thoughts, any
you.
final words that you want the world to know, that you feel that it's important for people to know?
I
You
had
just
so
said a
many, but
load of incredible important things, but what are your final thoughts?
final thoughts, that just the power and the answers and the truth is all inside of you. Listen to that voice and give it a platform. Believe in yourself and who you are and accept it just the way you are. But don't we accept in a way where it keeps us low.
Mhm.
Set that bar high to question yourself, not constantly pushing the finger at look what they're doing or what this place is doing or what people are doing and not doing. Question what you're doing in a loving way, not a shameful way, but a loving way, going like, hey, little girl, I got you, little, whoever you're inside there, talk to them, put them on the pedestal, put them on your shoulders, and just, put them on your screensaver, a little picture of your
Yeah.
younger self,
Oh, that's
but not the
beautiful.
age where, the age where you didn't feel so good, not the one where you looked all pretty and perfect. The age where you looked like you needed some help and needed someone to give you a hug. Put that one on there so you realize you're not just you, that you forgot about this cute little nugget that needs you to show them the truth and get them out of this, like, frozen state. So
I love that,
I'm
Susan.
so happy. I'm going to be bringing a lot of things global. I'm going to be doing a lot of shows and things and making my own show. And yeah, I'm excited. And yeah, and thank you
Well,
so
this is
much, Lena, for
incredible.
having me.
Absolutely. So your website is at www.susanchavka.com. That's www.susancav as in Victor ka.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for spreading your love and light, your wisdom. It's incredible. It's magnetic. Wishing you and your clients the most beautiful life. Thank you so much for sharing all of your energy, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you.
Thank you. I'll be talking to you soon, Lena. Take care. Mwah.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Dr. Lino Show, A Little Less Fear podcast. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can do so by sending me an email at a little less fear at gmail.com or through an inquiry from my website at www.alittlelessfear.com, where you will always find information on where to get my book. You can get my book on Amazon and Amazon paperback version, Kindle or Kindle Unlimited. And I also create incredible visual video poetry for people that are interested in marketing or even just to send a personal note to anybody or somebody that you might love. So yeah, check it out. I love it. Poetry is my passion, one of my other passions, aside from doing what I do right now, which is giving you all the motivation that you need to keep growing, to keep motivating people, motivating yourself, and to keep expanding. I love you all so much. Have a blessed day and take care. Rock on.
Thank you.